Hi guys, hi, hello, happy Friday. What we're doing today, what we're talking about today, is now that the dynasties are gone, the new nationalist party is trying to take China into this new century. And well, it doesn't go smoothly. There's a lot of issues, and eventually a civil war will break out in China. This conflict between the nationalists and the communists is, well, it's an interesting situation to say the least. So we're going to take some notes, and then at the end of today, I've got some work to be completed, some reminders, things like that, just to keep you in the loop. All right. So notebooks out. We're going to talk about the era of civil war and change because in 1911, when the new Chinese Republic is established, the very first president of China is elected, and that's President Yuan, who is the military leader. Remember, his son Yat sen had said that it goes military takeover, and then a transition time period, and then democracy, where everyone gets involved and everyone can vote and everyone participates. Yeah, President Yuan didn't want that to happen. He actually wanted to be emperor. He wanted to have all the power. He wanted to not share it with anyone. And this, of course, leads to a fight within the Nationalist Party. You've got the Guangmangdan, or the Nationalist Party. Again, it's the same thing. It's just the Mandarin at that point attempted to revolt. This time period of kind of like chaos and tried this fight for control led to individual warlords, those people who took advantage of the European and other foreign powers in China. They seized control over different provinces, and they are going to claim themselves the leaders. And again, the republic itself breaks into pieces. Throughout this time of uncertainty and change, a lot of different things are going on. Economically, China is obviously going through a transition. The foreign powers are still there. They still are playing a role. It's different, of course, without a dynasty to interact with. But the people of China recognize that they have to modernize if they want to keep up. So they're going to start building railroads and roads for more connections. They're going to expand communication throughout the country itself. They're going to try and insert themselves better into the world economy. The open door policy, of course, is still in effect, and there is a lot of foreign, again, product and goods that are coming in. Unfortunately, that change is hard because the people of China become dependent on those foreign countries. A lot of their local industry has been destroyed, which is a common element that we've seen in other colonial situations where foreign powers come in and they change the economy of a country. And that the other thing that's going through kind of a weird rolling change here is culturally in China. There's kind of two reactions to the fall of the dynasty. One is that there is a group of people in China who are like rejecting the past and trying to embrace what they consider to be the future, which is Western. So changing the way that they dress and the way that they speak, the things that they are again used for entertainment. And then the other half the population is like clinging to the past desperately, refusing to modernize, refusing to engage with any of this Western influence overall. Of course, with this sort of uncertainty in the country, and the again 1920s is where we find ourselves. A new group is going to be formed and brought onto the scene in 1921, 10 years after the initial revolution. And that's going to be the CCP, or the Chinese Communist Party. Initially, the CCP was, again, just a small scale political party of intellectuals from Beijing University, the capital, people who had been exposed to the, again, ideas of communism from Russia, well, the USSR in the 20s, from, again, Karl Marx and all that kind of stuff. When the Communist Party started to gain some momentum, the Nationalist Party, which still existed, yes, they had some trouble keeping control of everything, they decide that it's better to work with the communists in this moment. So they make an alliance, a temporary alliance of sorts. Sun believed that it would help to have the Soviet support in China. So they formed this kind of revolutionary army to seize control, to calm everything down, take back pieces of territory from warlords. The tensions between these two parties, though, were impossible to ignore. Communism, at its heart, does not operate well with other forms or thought. And nationalism is a different approach entirely. So, for about 2 years, the nationalists and the communists have worked together okay. In 1925, a man by the name of Chiang Kai-shek, excuse me, takes over the Nationalist Party because Sun Yat-sen will die. And he had a really intense distrust of the Communist Party. So when he takes over control of the Nationalist Party, he basically looks at that alliance as a sham and he wants to get rid of it. So he is going to challenge the communists in a civil war, a fight for the control of China. So in order to take control from the communists, Chiang Kai-shek takes the revolutionary route, and he wants to just wipe them out. So in 1927, before the alliance is officially thrown out, Chiang Kai-shek authorizes the Shanghai Massacre. Shanghai is another city in China where nationalists go into various different communist locations and they kill thousands of people, which forces the communists to flee, to run and go into hiding in the late part of the 1920s. Right? Well, in hiding, a young man by the name of Mao Zedong is going to rise up above the rest. He's going to prove himself to be a very effective leader in this fight against the nationalists, and of course, a very committed communist. During this exile, during this hiding, Mao Zedong is going to basically start a grassroots campaign where he goes to all of these peasants, these people who are living in the rural parts of China, and again, basically trying to appeal to them, saying that if you become communist, life will be better for you. And that's a nice message to hear from people who have been struggling throughout all of this time in China. And again, every time he won a new group of peasants, it just grew the size of the communist army. And in order to survive, they had to fight. And they kept engaging with Chiang Kai-shek's army. They used guerrilla warfare, which is sneak attack using the landscape. It's not traditional battlefield fighting. And the communists are kind of biding their time, again, trying to engage with Chiang Kai-shek, but still moving, always on the run, always hiding. In 1934, they have an opportunity. Mao sees, not awe, sees an opportunity to gain the upper hand in this fight, and he is going to take his army, which is swelled to a huge, huge side. The People's Liberation Front is what it's called, and they're going to basically race Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalists back into the north where most of the major cities are. And in order to get there, he had to march his army 24 miles a day through intense landscape. We have to remember that China is 7 different climates with so many different landforms, mountains, marshes, rivers, deserts. This intense pace to, again, get his army to the north is going to lead to massive casualties, and not from fighting, but just from the stress of trying to get that far that fast. So a lot of people are going to starve, they're going to freeze to death. His army went from 90,000 people to 9,000 people, but he was successful. The Long March, as it gets referred to, this campaign to get to the north, does again allow for the communists to regain a lot of control, and it establishes Mao Zedong as the sole leader and strengthened the CCP. Of course, 1934. Things are going to cool off in this civil war because another major conflict is about to begin, which of course is World War II. So we're going to kind of stop here and then pick it back up on Monday with how that plays out. And of course, how we know China becomes communist after World War II. So with that said, that's it for notes. Again, as far as stuff to get done today, you've got your Chinese Dynasties End worksheet due to turn it in before 3 p.m. today to get full credit. You've got your study aid, which is coming up a week from today, and which means your China test is a week from today. Just as a heads up, it'll be on Skyward like the last one, Open Note like the last one. So you should make sure you're putting, again, enough time and effort into your study aid to make sure that it is going to be a helpful tool for you to be successful on your test. Again, I'm giving you all the information you need. You just have to take advantage of it. Email me with questions, but otherwise, I hope you guys have a nice weekend.